Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Today is August 1st, 2019, and it's actually starting to begin today. This is the first day I've really seen the effects. We've been leading into this thing. I'll call it a thing. It's like a monster. It's going to be worse than 2008. We've been leading into it for a long time, but today it's really starting to get underway. Let's open the charts up and take a look right here, and take a look at the bond market first thing. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing all the way up to the 30-year. In some cases we're seeing over 15 basis point movement. They're piling in, to the long bonds, not the real long bonds, but they're piling in to 5-year, 7-year, 10-year. I'm telling you, when bond yields fall, like they're falling today, that means that they're being snatched up. That's when bonds go up. They go up when they go down. So it's like inverse. It's an inverse relationship. Anyway, you're seeing huge moves in the bond market. This is fear. This is a tremendous amount of fear in investors. And if you want to take a look at gold today, just take a look at this. Gold is going ballistic. $1,444 bid and $1,445 ask. That's up over $30 on the day. In one day. We don't see that kind. 2.16%. We generally don't see that kind of movement in the gold market. It's fear. And I'll tell you what they're frightened of. Donald Trump just came on board right now with 10% on 300 billion more Chinese goods. The trade war just escalated. China is going to fight back. Now, you guys are interested in how is this going to affect my bitcoins, my cryptocurrency. I'll tell you what. The whole world now, the damage has basically been done. Unless they come up with some sort of a trade deal soon, and I think still the damage is done at this point, and the whole world now is sliding downhill. I'll tell you kind of what it's like. Picture a boulder up on top of a big hill, That boulder can sit there for 100 years and never move, and that's like the economy. But once it starts to roll down that hill, slowly at first, you might be able to stop it when it first starts to roll. Just rolling real slow at first, right? But once it starts to gain momentum, it starts to gain kinetic energy. Everything in the universe works that way. Markets work that way. And so does the economy. And so what's happening is right now the economy is starting to slow down really fast all over the world. And it's gaining momentum. And that momentum is stored energy. Right? Nobody's doing anything to stop it. And in fact, these trade tariffs, the Brexit, China's slowdown, the real estate market's all starting to turn over simultaneously. All of this is adding fuel to push it faster down the hill and make it go faster. Today is one of the first days investors are starting to sit up and take notice. Capital's starting to fly around. Now, I've read books, on the Great Depression. Exact same thing happened during the Great Depression. After 1929, when you moved into the 1930s. And, that's when the Great Depression occurred. And you know what? The book said that capital started to fly around like crazy. And that's what I was seeing today, seeing capital moving around. And the reason why is because people are starting to get scared. They're starting to whisper, hey, what's going on? I heard this is that. And all of a sudden they start to say, hey, you know what? This is happening. And because markets are all about market sentiment and all about whether a person's confidence or not, confidence is suddenly, just basically, some of these investors, the blood's draining out of them. They're turning white as a sheet when they're seeing what's going on, because what they've been worried about for years starting to actually happen. All these markets are all tied in together. when the dollar finally dies, there's not going to be very many escape routes. Especially things that have no counterparty risk. Now, I'm going to tell you about your coins. Doesn't matter what coin you got them on the exchange, you got counterparty risk on them. You move them into your wallet, you got your private key, then there's no counterparty risk, right? You're your own bank. It's the same way with gold and silver. Somebody else is storing your gold and silver in a storage facility, that's counterparty risk. I mean, who owns the facility? The bank? Most likely. Bank goes under, they're going to come in with a Brinks truck and they're going to take your gold and silver out of the storage facility and move it someplace else, while the bank sorts everything out, and it might take them years. Good luck with that. That's counterparty risk. Same thing with the stock markets and everything else. You think you own those stocks? You don't really own those stocks. You can come away with nothing, quite seriously, on all of these things that you think is safe. The money in your bank even you think is safe, you can come away with nothing. The only way you can actually keep money in, possibly if this situation gets really bad, the only way you're going to be able to keep money is if there's no counterparty risk, and there's only 3 asset classes that us, the normal common people, can have that have no counterparty risk. Gold and silver in your hand, no counterparty risk. Cryptocurrency in your wallet, you got the private key, or on a paper wallet or something like that. You know, hardware wallet, no counterparty risk. Everything else out there, they can seize it, take it away from you. Gone, poof. Counterparty risk, you know? And so everybody, I mean, even your money in the bank, counterparty risk. I'm going to tell you what. You think your money's protected by the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Commission? Up here in Canada, we have the Canadian Deposit Insurance Commission. It's a similar thing. CDIC, I think it's called, or something. But anyway, it's the same thing. They haven't got enough money to cover even 2 or 3 big banks going down. And you know what? They've already written it into law that the money that they do have, that insurance money that they do have, is going to go to the big shots first, and you can bet that the big shots got an awful lot bigger vested interest in it. They're going to gobble all that money up before you're ever going to see a penny. That's counterparty risk. You got to get out of the dollar and get into items that have no counterparty risk. Get your Bitcoin, get your coins off of the exchange, get them in your own wallet, get your own private keys. This is the time to do this right now, because I'm telling you, this system could actually lock up, and then everybody is going to be chasing liquidity, and it's going to be in the form of margin calls. Everybody, and they are going to actually price the entire system out there and mark to market. Mark to market. And what that means is all these assets people think they have, they think that the bank might have come out, people might have came out and looked at your home and said your home is worth like $300,000 in assessed value. When they mark to market, it's basically like a fire sale. Then you find out what it's really worth when the market falls. I'll give you an example. I studied the Great Depression. There's a guy that bought a car, brand new. I think he paid like $300 or something. Back then, that was a lot of money. Back then, $300. Like, it was in 1929. He bought the car, brand spanking new. I think he only drove it a couple miles or whatever. He had a for sale sign on it for $20, and he couldn't sell it. That's mark to market. That's what happens when everything just goes in. And the only way out of this for the powers that be, the government and everything, they cannot let the whole thing disintegrate down to market completely and everything boil down, because the entire economy would come to a skidding stop, bang, just like that. What they have to do is they have to step in, and they have to lock the system up and do a reset. And basically what that involves is they're going to go in there and inject massive amounts of liquidity and get the system back up and running again. You know? Then later, they'll have to do another reset. When the currency goes down and there's nothing left of it, they'll have to reset again. So it's going to require a number of efforts on the part of the powers that be to stabilize this whole thing. Listen, thank you guys for listening. And I'm going to tell you one more thing before I go. In this kind of a situation, when capital's flying around this way and flying around that way, Bitcoin is a new asset class. It's within the financial system. It's almost like a toy that they're playing with, you know. And I just don't know exactly which way this is going to flip with Bitcoin. They could all come rushing into it, or they could get frightened and rush out of it. It's just exactly at this point in time when this crisis occurs, it's a little bit hard and difficult to understand which way they're going to go with it. But if they rush into it, they could drive it up enormously. We're going to have to wait and see. But like I say, capital's flying around out there and is trying to find someplace safe to land or roost. You know, and it could spy Bitcoin as being a safe spot to roost. But then again, when they're frightened like that, for no reason at all, if an asset class starts to fall, when they get really frightened like that, they'll start pulling their money out. And you know, for the last month or so, for about the last month, the whales have been playing with this market, the Bitcoin market. They've been playing with it, the whales, you know. And like I say, it's a play toy for them, you know, at this point within the financial scheme of things. But ultimately, it's going to cease being a play toy, and it's going to ultimately, down the line, maybe 5 years from now, 3 years from now, a couple years, a ways out, it's going to become a asset class where money finds a home. That's ultimately what's going to happen with it. And so is gold. Those are two things, gold and Bitcoin, is where big money is going to come in to find a home over the next couple of years. But because Bitcoin is so new and stuff, they might get nervous with it and drop it like a hot potato for a little while. You know, I mean, it's never going to die. Bitcoin is not going to die. But I've seen these up and down price swings before, you know, and I don't let it unnerve me. But that's what could happen. But ultimately, once they come in and they reset this whole thing and they pour liquidity into the system, then Bitcoin's on its way to the moon. Right? And so's gold. If you think you saw a gold shot today, if you think this is a gold shot, this is nothing. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations real quick before I go. And you know, what we're looking at is 65.7% Bitcoin dominance, $280 billion market. Let me refresh the page. 281.7. So it is going up today. In fact, it's going up rather quickly right now. Investors very well could run into Bitcoin big time. Well, I'll tell you what. The more success breeds success. So if it's on the uptrend, if it's on the upswing, then more investors are more likely to eye it as someplace safe to put the capital, because right now they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified. If you see what's happening in the gold market, the bond market, investors are scared, you know. They're racing from one asset class to another. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.